have you know, I'm not Queen Esther, I'm a bagpiper, but I'd like to introduce the Queen to you now. If Gwen, I'm sorry for all this, where are you? I'll put her the Queen, Esther. She's supposed to say a few words. She's just saying thank you. She's going to look after everything and make sure that everything runs all right. Okay.
We're going to take over 5 minutes while we clear the tables. Dessert will be served after our Purim spiel. So after 5 minutes, when we get ready, I'll come back up.
Okay.
Okay. Without further ado, Judy Stein will introduce our program.
It is my honor and privilege to present to you Sisterhood's Purim Spiel, Gals and Dolls, a spoof with music by Henry Marcus.
On the advice of counsel, I want to defend myself in advance by reading the following prepared statement. I am not now, and I have never been, a member of Sisterhood or any other subversive organization. As a matter of fact, if I had applied for membership in Sisterhood, you would probably come up with some cockamamie reason why I didn't qualify. And I think you should know that at one time, I used to support the Equal Rights Amendment. So what am I doing here? Well, one night, my wife, you know, that nice lady who writes all these lovely stories and temple topics, she gave me a poke in the ribs with her elbow and informed me that we had volunteered to work on this program. After a few years of living with her, I have learned the futility of resistance. You wouldn't believe the consequences of non-compliance. I also know that we did not mean we, it meant me. In other words, I was volunteered. I know also I have to be very careful about what I do here tonight, because after all, with this particular audience, we might meet each other very frequently, probably in wall bounds, very often on Friday night after services, except for a few of you, probably not until Rosh Hashanah. So here I am. I don't know a thing about Sisterhood, but I was volunteered, and where do I begin? Naturally, I began by making a mistake. I asked one of the twin presidents for a little background on what goes on at a Sisterhood meeting. The next thing I knew, these three young, strong women rented a U-Haul truck and schlepped this tremendous crate into our living room and left it there. It contained the minutes of every Sisterhood meeting since 1492. And I actually think the whole thing was just a ploy to make War Room and Temple for the next rummage sale. So where do we go from here? Well, it's showtime, and it's time to let you know what's going on around here.
What did you read in the Croton Cortland News?
I'll tell you what's in the Croton Cortland News. A story about those women up on the hill spending all their time collecting Sisterhood dues. That's what's in the Croton Cortland News.
What's playing on Channel 4?
I'll tell you what's playing on Channel 4. A story about all those women who are so involved with Sisterhood that they hardly spend any time with their families anymore. That's what's playing on Channel 4.
What's happening all over the nation?
I'll tell you what's happening all over this part of the nation. Sisterhood has all those women so tidrate that they forget to pick up their husbands at the Croton station. That's what's happening all over this part of the nation.
Giant rummage sale, show some fashion with class, that's been our rule.
Bring some cook, wear by tupper, even spring for a potluck supper. Then you know that we're doing it for some shoe.
Sisterhood is certainly a unique organization. In this country, we have a population of over 200 million people. We have one president. Sisterhood with 200 members, they need two presidents. This idea of twin presidents could lead to a lot of other things that could come after that. The next thing you know, they'll talk about twin cantors. Actually, that's not such a new idea because about 30 years ago in Brooklyn, they had the twin cantors. They didn't sing very much because they were so busy peddling chopped liver on Eastern Parkway somewhere. After this would come the ultimate thing, twin rabbis. Now, can you imagine what that would do to Rich Shuffer's ulcer in our pocket? Fortunately for us, our twin presidents are volunteers. And just to show you how well they function together, they're going to give us the potluck supper committee report. I give you our twin presidents.
To let us find out the day after the supper.
Who is coming?
And how many?
This year, we will feature designer food.
Everything from Maison to McDonald's.
As usual, Sisterhood will furnish the hot water and the napkins.
And as usual, you will bring food alphabetically.
In the same rotation as always?
Yes. If your last initial is between A and F, you will bring the salads.
From G to L, it's the potatoes or pasta.
From M to Q, you bring the main dish.
From R to V, it's the desserts.
And from W to Z, you bring the salt and pepper.
Just
Like always.
I have learned a long time ago that our initial M not only stands for Marcus, it also stands for main dish. We're going to beat the system. We're going to change our name to Zebra. Or in front of Penn Station, sometimes even at the Croton station. They have appeared there with their tambourines and their little collection pots, and you probably assumed that they were a part of a nationally known welfare organization, when all the time it was actually a covert operation of Sisterhood, designed to increase their memberships. Sunshine Committee. Their function seemed to be to record every dire event that transpired between meetings. Now, in our little shtetl of Croton on Hudson, Sisterhood has its own version of this tradition. Here it is called the Good and Welfare Committee. And guess what? They also have 2 chairpersons. Everything around here works like Noah's Ark.
We had a very successful month. We actually went to 3 different hospitals, Phelps, Northern Westchester, and Peekskill. We visited 2 broken ankles, 1 dislocated shoulder, 3 arthroscopic knees, 2 sisters in traction with sprained back, 1 hip replacement, and 4 others only in the hospital for observation. Naturally, Sisterhood brought cookies and flowers. It was a very gratifying month.
Obviously, this is the same organization that chartered the Titanic for a pleasure cruise. Talking about volunteers, if you ask for a volunteer to move this building brick by brick to the other side of Mount Airy, what happened?
Moving it brick by brick.
There we go. If you ask for a volunteer to relocate this building brick by brick to the other side of Mount Airy, Ina Helfand would be the first one in line. As a matter of fact, a few years ago when I was I was drafted to prepare a program for a different temple function, I asked for a volunteer to play the piano. I only heard the word volunteer and bang. She was right up there. She thought I wanted someone to move the piano. I told her I wanted someone to play the piano. She said, it's okay, I'll take lessons. So listen now to Ina's lament.
Insecure, but due to some long frustration, I fear I'm developing psychosomatic symptoms, difficult to endure, affecting my left cerebral hemisphere. In other words, just from trying to find a host for an onyx Shabbat, I don't know if I'm still normal or not. I'm new in this temple. I don't think I know how to do it right.
As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, I intend to be sick that night.
If my husband finds that, we'll all end up in an awful fight.
These are some of the excuses I've got. Whenever I'm volunteering, just in a helpful sense, never stopping to slow down and think, assuming obligations, minuscule or immense, I become a suitable candidate for a shrink. In other words, just from seeking a host for an onyx Shabbat, I find I'm beginning to lose a piece of my mind.
I don't bake, and I know there are coming here expecting to be well fed.
I won't come, because last week I don't think that I like what the rabbi said.
Friday night, I play bridge. Do you think we can do it on Thursday?
One more weekend, I'll go out of my head. So furthermore,
Sisterhood, as you can tell, has never spared any expense to keep you au courant on all the nonsense that is going on in the world around us. After all, we have learned to expect a lot from an organization that once planned a teen suicide breakfast. If that hasn't whetted your appetite for what lies ahead, here are the twin chairpersons of the program committee.
It's go, 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 something doing all the time. It's non-stop programming, always with one class act after another. Next week, our guest speaker will be Geraldo. His topic will be very appropriate. His subject will be cults, an alternative to religion. And in April, Dr. Joyce Brothers will be here to speak on special marriages. She will discuss the case of a woman who wanted to marry a man who was already dead. Her question will be, did her parents have a right to object to this marriage? Just because he wasn't Jewish? In May, Phil Donahue will fly in to discuss domestic violence. What will he focus on? Battered husbands? And in June, the marriage month, dear Abby will give us her advice on saving your marriage. She will tell you the proper way to greet your husband when he comes home from work. The idea is to have him come in and see you wearing nothing but saran wrap. For the children, it will be a novelty. Besides, let it be his turn to have the headache. So you see, it's go, 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 programming all the time.
There's no limit to all the things we can do when our motivation comes from above. Have a musicale with a bow and a flute. Serve some hors d'oeuvres to suit. Show some jewelry that's cute. Even bring Dr. Root. Have a fair for books. Invite an expert who cooks. Auction off some art that you know they'll love.
Run a dance, have a sing-go. Just remember you can't play bingo. You know that we're doing is for some road.
Everywhere in this world, we have people who look at the same event with two opposite viewpoints. And so in Sisterhood, where everything else is arranged by twos, could this be any different? Here to discuss one of the most important events in the history of Sisterhood, maybe even in the history of the Western world, we bring you the Dishwasher Committee report.
We have good news and we have bad news. The bad news is that the temple needed a new dishwasher. The good news is that we finally bought one. The bad news is that for temple it cost $6,000. $6,000? That was the good news. I don't know. I needed one at home. I got a perfectly good one for under $500 from Lewis and Clark. Newmark and Lewis. The bad news is we found out we had to get a new heater to heat the water and a new electrical service. The bad news is it cost us another $4,000. The good news is we finally got it done. The bad news is that the House Committee chairman refused to give us permission to bring the equipment in through
beginning. Bad news is that I never want to go through this again.
The good news is you won't have to. We are planning a leveraged buyout of the men's club.
The bad news is that we have no junk funds.
The good news is that we do it with old raffle stubs. Sisterhood has been saving them since the Civil War.
The bad news is the dishwasher is a mechanical device. It could break down.
The good news is, let it. We'll make the men's club wash the dishes.
Sisters, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your husbands are? Well, as a matter of fact, some of them are right here.
We see the girls all here who make our message clear and hope that they won't think that our requests are queer. Can do. There's nothing that these girls can't do if they just try. Can do.
The temple incense point now. There's a classy joint to satisfy each whim. They leave no stone unturned.
They have a swimming pool, a dirty dancing school, and in a little corner even have a shul.
And Hewlett Bay, by gosh, the natives live so posh, they convert the sanctuary to a court for squash. Way out in Benson first, where you'd expect the worst, they have a unisex mikvah that may be a first.
Then in the Scarsdale mold, at least what we've been told, their talus is made of diamonds and their yarmies of gold.
Our hopes are more sublime, we put it all to rhyme, and the talent you possess will make our spirits climb. Can
do. There's nothing that these girls can't do if they just try. Can do. We have much simpler taste, we don't believe in waste, but wouldn't it be nice to be much better spaced? Just build our second floor and we won't ask for more. The higher up you go, the near closer to the Lord. You can do it.
You can do it.
You can do it. You can do it. You got the girls right
Before the next and last number on our program, which is the reprieve, not the reprieve, a reprieve you get after we get off the stage. I would like to take you back to a time about 60 years ago when the Yiddish theater flourished on 2nd Avenue in Lower Manhattan. And there came a time when they decided to do King Lear, not in English, but in Yiddish. And the way they announced it on their marquee was as follows: Shakespeare, übersetzt and verbessert, which in English means Shakespeare translated and improved upon. then didn't have a little chutzpah, maybe we all wouldn't be here today. And in a way, we were also a little chutzpahdik here tonight. I have a love for two rather disparate types of music, classical music and show music. Frank Lesser's marvelous music and lyrics, particularly the original score for Guys and Dolls, will always be a classic in the American musical theater. So if we had a marquee out here tonight, I would build it this way. Gals and Dolls, borrowed from Frank Lesser, but with great respect. Ladies and gentlemen, the reprise.
When we volunteer every night of the year, you can bet that we're doing it for some shoe. Though we still ain't got Donald Trump's little yacht, there's no plan that we spurn if there's some way to earn a little higher return. Solve each temple need if there's a choir to feed. Keep the dishwasher hot and the temple cool. For the break, fast, be daring. Order 2 tons of pickled herrings. We know that we're doing it for some shoe. Some shoe.
Obviously, I was not the only volunteer here tonight, so I'd like to introduce you to our cast. As a matter of fact, I'd like to introduce them to one another because this is the first time they've all been together. Our Sisterhood chorus, Glenn Leibwall-Steiner. Laura Drucker. Miss Oleg Shabbat herself, Ida Helfand. And down there, our twin presidents, Ellen Kahn and Ruth Wilson. Our committee reporters, Harry Bender and Phyllis Winslow. Phyllis also doubled as stage decorator. The surprise quartet, Alan Leibwall-Steiner, Roy Butler, and Bobby Bender, who also mutilated the trumpet solo tonight and was the offstage voice. And our one-piece orchestra, Barbara Lambert. Our off-stage supporting cast, our sound and lighting supervisor, Bob Volan. The VCR cinematographer, Arthur Stein. My wife, Pearl, who censored me when necessary, as well as a few other times. Who also helped me with the directing and coordinating, and who got me into this mess in the first place. And our Sisterhood expediter and troubleshooter, Judy Stein.
Mr. Stein?
thank the entire cast for their effort and time in making this play a huge success. We thank you for the opportunity for allowing many of us to laugh at ourselves. The Men's Club chorus was a wonderful surprise. Let's give them one more round. Now, special thanks goes to Henry Marcus. You have used your love of writing plays and poetry, your talent for changing the words to musical tunes, and your wit to delight and entertain us tonight. To commemorate this occasion, we are presenting you with a special award which was last given out at a Sisterhood function June 6, 1967. The Academy of Sisters presents you with a Lola. A Lola, not an Oscar, a Lola. The Sisterhood of Temple Israel presents the Lola Labor of Love Award to playwright Henry Marcus for producing and directing Gals and Dolls, the Sisterhood's Purim program. Please accept this gift from Sisterhood without gratitude.
If you thought that the program committee that we rigged up was funny, I was listening to the one that you announced before.